longest road on the show. We're going to do lots of dead easy flowers today. Now, I was thinking more about getting you to sleep, Ellie. Hi, Hannah. The tutorial that I've put in the group is full of suggestions of really easy to make paper or wipes, flowers from wipes, none of which I have designed. These are just ones that I have curated off the internet over a number of years. So these have all, you know, been there, done that, bought the t-shirt, but they're really cute. I think they're my favourites. So let's start off with some of the really, really easy ones. Okay. Hi, Helen. Everybody got right. When this is all over, you're all going to come and do our garden. It's not big, but it needs doing. So you're all invited. We'll have a garden party, which involves you doing all the work. I'll provide tea. I might even make a cake. Right. Okay. So what we're going to do first is the rolled up rose. You're not going to find an easier flower to make than this. Now, actually, ideally it really should be double-sided paper, but I've just got single-sided, not that it matters. So I'm just going to take some paper and you can draw around. I'm going to use a compass just because it's easier, but I've drawn around these round things, you know, spools of double-sided tape. That would do to draw around. It doesn't matter. I'm going to just use my compass because it's easy. So I'm just, first of all I want you to do is draw a circle. Okay, it doesn't matter how big it is at all. Oh God, look at that, blooming useless. Just a circle. Okay, it doesn't have to be very big. I don't even know how big that is. 4 inches diameter. It doesn't hi Julia, it doesn't matter, but I wouldn't do it too small unless you want really, really, really tiny roses. So there you go. Then all you need to do is just cut it out as a circle. This does not have to be perfect by any stretch of the imagination. What I'm going to do in a minute actually is I'm just going to plug in my glue gun. You can just glue this with ordinary glue, but you have to kind of hold it for a bit. And as time is of the essence, I'm just going to use my hot glue gun to do that. Okay, so all you want is a circle of pattern paper. Right, I did have a glue gun. I've just picked it up. Here it is. Right, I'm going to plug this in. Hold on a minute because I'm probably going to knock everything now. There'll be things flying all over. Right, now, hi Faye.
Oh, Faye.
Yes, Julia, your husband can come and give the cake out. So I've got my circle. Now I need to cut it into a spiral. So like, do you remember those slinky things that we used to have when we were kids? Now, how deep you cut your spiral is going to show how big your rose is. So you can make the spiral as tight or as loose as you like. I'm going to cut mine, just over 1/4 inch, I reckon. And all I'm going to do is I'm literally just going to cut it as a spiral. Just keep going round and round. This isn't tidy. It isn't measured. We've got that funny lip there. Don't worry about it. We'll come back to that. But I'm just going to keep cutting round in a circle. Let's take my glasses off. Until I get to the middle. And I want to leave myself a base. Like that, okay? This bit is just, all I'm going to do there is I'm just going to round that off, okay? Then what we need to do is roll from this bit inwards. So this first bit, just getting it to just roll round is the most difficult bit, or the most, it's not even difficult, it's just the most annoying bit. Once we get going, oh hello Mel, I haven't got my glasses on so I don't know. Once we get going we'll be fine, but you just need to just roll. This is, you see, I've got no nails. This is the joy of not having any nails, and also being left-handed doesn't help either.
Never.
So I'm just going to start off rolling it, and then just suddenly, like now, that's it, it's gone, and I can just roll it,
Roll it, roll it, roll it.
Round in a tight spiral. Okay. I'm just going to keep rolling. Double-sided paper is better, but I'm going to roll this because I'm only using one-sided paper. I'm going to roll it with the pattern paper on the inside of the roll. Okay, once you get it started and it starts rolling of its own accord, it's so much easier. Okay, so keep rolling. We're getting more and more towards the middle now. Okay, now, how loose you want your rose is all about what happens next. I'm going to pop some hot glue on here. I think this is probably heated up now. This is the point when we realise it hasn't. And then I'm going to stick that down on there, and I'm going to let it loose a little bit. Number one, these get incredibly hot. So be really, really careful when you're using your hot glue gun. I have seen blisters. I've had blisters. It's just be careful because it gets really hot and you are getting super close to your fingers now. Number two, if you put your glue on there, pop it down on a hard surface, loose this a little bit and then stick it in. Okay, so I'm just going to put some hot glue down there now on that round bit. I'm going to fold over that flower, and now I can just loose it a little bit, dependent on how loose I want my rose. Okay, and there you go.
Beth says, hope she's not missed too much. Hi, Cal.
You haven't missed anything, Beth, lovely. It's fine. We're just making a rolled rose, and there is a tutorial in the group as well. If you want to tidy it up a bit, just trim it round. Now you can make these super loose and let them go a lot so that they're bigger, or you can have a smaller circle and make more of a rosebud. And remember as well that if you want to just, you know, ink the edges, you can do so. Give it a bit of a vintage feel. The other thing that you could do, which I haven't brought with me tonight, which was a bit dim probably, is you could stick maybe a gem in the middle of here, or a pearl or something. But there you go. I don't know how well you can see that, but that's our first rose, and it is so easy. Hi Tracy, hi Beth, hi Celia, hi Katie. I know where Ohio is. It's one of the few places geographically I know. I'm not very good at geography. Anyway, there we go. Now, one of the things that I really like about flowers is
Getting them.
no, well, yes, I like getting them. I have to say Mark's very good at getting me flowers. But one of the things that I do is leaves. And I'm just going to show you a little trick to make some leaves, which is so easy, okay? Piece of paper. Cut your leaf shape, just like that. Okay, yeah, obviously that's I do let it loose a little bit, darling, but it's entirely up to you how loose you want your rose. That one's quite tight, but you can loose it and have a really big one. What I'll do in a minute is I'll go and grab some that I've made before, because I've got quite a selection of roses that I've more flowers that I've made before. So I've got my leaf shape. So you're right, they are, and they're bright pink. We have actually got some in the shop, some sticks to finger protectors, and they are really good. So I've got my leaf shape. That's nice, but it's a little bit boring. So actually, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to ink around the edges, because, you know, vintage. And that's always a nice thing to do. But now I'm going to snip from the point of my leaf, which will be nearest to the flower, up to about just over halfway up my leaf. Okay, so I've got a little snip like that. Now I'm going to get my glue, and I'm just going to use my wet glue. I'm going to put, oh, new bottle, little spot on there, and I'm going to fold that over the top of my leaf. Oh, I've got glue on my fingers again. Okay, and I'm just going to hold that now. And I'm just going to trim off those edges there. And I have got a shaped leaf. I don't know how well you can see this. I've got a shaped leaf. So I can pop that in. Let's pop a little bit of glue. Too much glue. I can pop that in there with my flower, and I've got a shaped leaf. Okay, so easy just to make something that is shaped, and it just looks so much nicer than something that's flat. And you can mix them, you can mix the sizes, you can mix the shapes that you cut out, and it's just I just think it's a really nice way to make your flowers just that little bit more interesting. Okay, so that's the generic leaf. Now, what shall we make next? I think next we are going to make the doodle flower, which I rather like. So, do you have any drawing skills? I have none, which is why I love this flower. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these two pieces of paper here, and I'm going to take my pencil, and I'm going to draw, no laughing at this will all become plain. I'm going to draw some flowers on my paper. No laughing. Here is my flower. Cute, isn't it? I'm going to do one that's a little bit smaller. And I'm going to do one over here. How cute are those? They're cute, aren't they? Right, now we're going to cut them out. These are some of my favourite flowers, I have to say. You do not need to be an artist to make really cute flowers. So, now I'm going to cut them out. Doesn't matter that the petals are all different shapes and sizes. That's the charm of the flower. And I think you probably need about 3 flower shapes per flower of different sizes. Okay, so I've got 3 shapes here. I've used 2 different sorts of papers. I've drawn 3 flower shapes, and I'm now going to cut those out. Okay, there's 2. And now my 3rd one, which for some reason has only got 4 petals. I feel a bit sorry for it. I think it should have another petal. I'm just going to draw one in. Now, I'm using printed patterned papers here. But for those of you that are into your mixed media, especially with these flowers, you could jelly print your papers, you could spray ink your papers, you could paint your papers, you could stamp on your papers. Anything that makes a really nice pattern will do. And I think it's these particularly that just look brilliant when they're made from mixed media. So I've got my 3 flower shapes there. Okay, I'm just going to put them onto a darker background because you can't really see them now. I'll put them onto this green. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab a couple of pens. I've got a black one and a white one. The white one's brand new. I forgot to add a stem. I did, Axel, you're right. Go to bed. No, I'm joking. Stay up. I'm going to add some stems later though, so you'll have to stay up until I've added my stems. I'll do those last. Right. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to add a bit of interest to these, okay? So I'm just going to use my black pen now, and I'm just going to draw that petal shape. See, you don't have to be any sort of artist to do this. I've got my tongue out, I'm concentrating.
Oh, yes.
Okay. And there's my last one. I can smell this glue gun. I'm going to have to switch it off actually, because it's starting to smell a bit warm and I don't need it anymore. Well, not at the moment. Okay, I don't know whether this white pen's going to work. I kind of doubt it will. Not enough. Right, we won't have any white on it. So I'm just going to, I don't know, draw some little dots maybe. Just something to add a bit of interest to my flower. Okay, so those are my beautiful, beautiful flower shapes. But that's not enough. I am not finished. If you have got an embossing tool, this I'm sure came out of an envelope maker or something, a box maker. But basically when I say embossing tool, I mean one with a round end. Okay. What I want you to do now is I want you to take your flower and I want you to put it onto your palm and I want you to put it flat, pattern paper side down. Okay. And we're going to shape the petals. So what I'm going to do to shape the petals is I'm going to take the biggest ball bit. This is getting bad. We're not even doing gussets tonight. Oh, sorry, Axel. And we're just going to carefully rub our ball into the paper, just like that. So that what we're doing is we are gently shaping our petal. And it'll start to shape itself, okay? And we're going to do that on every petal. I'm going to be in so much trouble with Ellie. So much trouble. Okay. Curl that up a bit more. Then I'm just going to turn it over and just do that middle bit because I'm going to need to be able to stick this down in a minute. Okay, so I've got a shaped flower there. Okay, we're going to do exactly the same on our other petal flower things as well. We're just going to shape those petals. This is really hard work, by the way. I need to stop for a tea break in a minute. It's probably hard work because I can't see what I'm doing because I've got my glasses on. Okay, I'm going to turn that over and I'm just going to shape that back in the middle there. Got another shaped flower, and then I'm going to do the same with my final one. Okay, turn it over, shape that one. Now we're going to stick them together. So I'm going to put a blob of glue in the middle of my biggest one. I'm going to decide where I want the middle one to sit to give it some interest. And then I'm going to spot of glue and add in my final flower there. Now, what have I got here? Let's have a look. Let's have a green one, I think. Let's take the green gem, which won't come off. Oh, I don't know where that went.
In my eye.
No, not this week. It didn't. No, I should take this. I've forgotten about that. Right, I'm just going to pop that. You can use a ribbon. You can use a button. You could use gems. You can use pearls. You can use anything you like in the middle. But anyway, that is my little doodle flower. And remember that you can add your shaped leaves into this as well. In fact, I'm just going to make another one because one leaf just isn't enough. So remember to make the leaves. We're just going to cut a leaf shape. I'm going to quickly ink the edge. Far too much glue again. Oh, I hate this. Just trim off the excess. I'm making a right pig's ear with this. There we go. And there's a little doodle flower. They're actually some of my favourites, I have to say. And it just shows that to do something quite interesting, you absolutely don't have to be able to draw even slightly.
Evident.
Okay? So easy. I've used book papers, old books. I've painted them or spray inked them. I have then covered it with Mod Podge or something just to give it a bit of a sealant, but also it gives it a bit of a sort of an easy sheen. But they're so easy. I'm watching this on my PC and I'm not seeing a good picture at all. I really hope.
It looks fine.
Does it look? Well, I'll take some photos after so that you can see anyway. But how easy was that? And I love these little doodle flowers and they're so easy and the kids can make them. But just remember to shape your flowers because it makes all the difference. So now we've got our doodle flowers and we've got our rolled roses. Right, what should we make next? I think we should make my favourite, one of my favourites, which is the gerbera. Now, the gerbera. I'm using 6x6 papers, but to be honest with you, we need something a little longer. So I'm going to tick. I am sure I have got some papers here that I was using. Right, so let me just chop this a bit. I can't remember how big I said to do it. I think it was about 2 inches. So I've got a piece of 12 by 12 paper here. Well, what's left of it. And I'm just going to cut that. This is the wrong way round for me, so you'll have to excuse me a minute. I'm just going to cut myself a 2-inch wide strip there. This one's a little bit shorter. Ideally 2 inches again. By approximately 6 inches, that's near enough. It'll do. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this in half and just make sure that I've got a really good crease. And I've lost my bone folder. Put it somewhere safe. Here's another one. Okay. We're not folding this one. We're only folding this one. Okay. Right. Now this is going to take some time. One of the in things in scrapbooking at the moment is fringes. And that's essentially what we're going to cut. So what I want you to do is I want you to cut down about maybe 1/2 inch or so. And I want you to do a row. I don't know if you can see this here. I want you to do a row, probably about just over 1/8 of an inch wide. Cuts on the folded edge. So this is where it opens, but we're not cutting on that edge. We're cutting on the folded edge down to about 1/2 inch. Okay, so we're only cutting down 1/2 inch from that folded edge. And each strip that we're cutting is around 1/8 of an inch. Okay. These aren't all the same width by any stretch of the imagination, and that is fine. Just don't do them too wide because it'll spoil the centre of your flower, which is what we're going to do in a minute. You might not need the full 6 inches. Oh, I hope Maggie's not in class tonight. But we'll worry about that when we come to make our flower centre. I'm really glad I can't see what you guys are writing at the moment. Who knew paper crafts would be so dirty? I used to have a class, do you know, it amazes me that this never really took off, but I used to have a class called Hardcore Crafting, where we used to do sweary makes and stuff. And I could never really understand why it wasn't as popular as maybe it's just me, I don't know. Okay, so there we go. Now, I'm just going to put a bit of glue, probably could have used double-sided tape, I don't know, along the bottom there. This is where we haven't cut, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to roll it up. As with our rolled rows, the first bit is always the hardest.
Oh, yes.
But just keep rolling and don't worry if it doesn't quite sit straight. It'll all get there in the end. It'll be fine. We'll just make it fit. Okay. I'm I'm really glad you can't see my face at the moment because I've got my tongue out again.
Oh.
Okay, that's probably about as wide as we need. So I'm going to cut that there. So it all depends on your paper, really. And I'm just going to hold this for a minute. But you can see there, that is the centre of our flower, which is useful in any number of flowers, actually. I could show you how to make, hi Larissa, hi Louise. I could show you how to make peonies. They're dead easy. You just use a round circle punch for those. And then you do the middles like this. Anyway, so there we go. So that's the middle of our gerbera flower. Now, that should hopefully stick when I let go. I'm hoping. Maybe. I might just clip it to be on the safe side. If I can find a big enough clip. Let's have a look.
Ouch.
That one didn't work. I wonder if paperclip would work. Near enough. Right, so I'm just going to leave that gluing for a minute. Right, this is 6 by 2, no it's not, it's 12 by 2 inches. And I'm going to do exactly the same, but I am going to cut down about 1.5 inches. So every snip that I make is going to go down. I'm going to leave that 1/4 inch there, the 1/2 inch there at the bottom, but I'm still going to cut my, you might want longer scissors. I'm still going to cut my petals like that, okay? And I'm going to do that all the way along. These are probably marginally wider, minusculely wider, but marginally wider than we have done on the centre. But I'm just going to keep cutting all the way along, making sure that I leave about 1/2 inch at the bottom. Okay, so can you see what I'm doing there with my fringe? Of course, you can get scissors that cut fringes for you, which at this point would be excellent to have. But as I don't have any, I'll just use my scissors, ordinary scissors. Do you know what? Paper flowers, this paper flowers class was the first class that I ever taught. About 4 years ago. In our dining room, dear. When we had a dining room before I took it over.
Yes, I remember that.
Okay, talk amongst yourselves. I'm nearly there. Is anybody making this along with me, or am I doing it all on my own?
Well, Dee got glue all over herself.
Oh, good. That's good. You might notice that the further along you go, the wider your petals get. I think it's because you just get fed up of cutting them. Okay, so there's my 12 by 2 inch strip, and I've cut all the way along and made a fringe like that. Now normally I would glue this tonight for ease. I'm going to stick a little bit of double-sided tape right down the bottom, and we're going to cheat. Okay, so let's take off that double-sided tape there. And I need you to get your stamen, which is this bit that we made earlier. Now, watch carefully. I want you to attach the stamen, but at the very, very bottom here. Not the edge that we've cut, but the edge that we haven't cut. So I want you to attach it right at the bottom so that the fringe is at the top. Okay? And then what we're going to do is we are going to roll tightly around the stamens all the way around. Okay, now I know why I don't use double-sided tape on this. All the way along. Okay, just keep rolling it round and round as tight as you can. Just keep rolling. I want to sing Rawhide now. Rolling, rolling, rolling. Keep those flowers rolling. Da, 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 da. Rawhide. Through wind and stormy weather. La 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 la. Right.
3 people just left.
Why? Because I was singing. I don't care. Right, okay. So, there's our flower. Stamen in the middle. And that on the outside. Right, I love this bit. Now what we're going to do is we're going to find the middle of our flower. And we're going to put it on our bench, on our worktop. And we're going to bend those petals down. Okay? And look. Oh dear. Don't do it like that. Do it like this. Anyway.
Just like that.
Just like that. There's our gerbera. I love this. How cute is that? So easy to make. And Axel, you can put a Q&A video. Beth, about what? I think all the time about doing videos. I just never seem to get round to it. So I could do a Q&A video. How do you mean? You're going to tell me, ask me the questions beforehand and I'll tell you the answers. I was going to do a video about making books without tools and doing things without tools. Hi, Lou.
No.
There you go. How pretty is that? I love these gerberas. So there we go. There's a gerbera. So easy to make. That seems to sound like a small furry creature. I don't know which one. Where is he? No, not in here. Right, so we've got our gerberas. We have got our doodle flowers. And we've got our rolled roses. So let me have a look what's next. Because I think next we should do the cookie cutter flower.
Oh, yeah.
Is that the next one? I think it is. And then we will finish off with the wipes flower. Right, okay. Gerbera, rolled rose, doodle flower. Next, we are going to make the cookie cutter flower. Now, this is my cookie cutter, which Mark makes for me actually on the 3D printer. You want one that's that sort of shape. That's the only sort of tool that we're going to use. If you haven't got one, at the back of the tutorial in the group, Mark has drawn up this shape here. And these are roughly the right size. So all you need to do is just cut one out, cut round it, trace it, however. But the shape is there. So if you haven't got a tool, you can... I've got a tool, it's called Mark.
Yeah. Yes, I am often.
Were you
reduced.
waiting for that?
I am
I'm so
often-
sorry. I'm so sorry. If you haven't got a cookie cutter, you can use those shapes. I shouldn't say that because he's done this really kindly for us today. So there we go. Right, now what I need to do is cut out 6 of these shapes. So I'm just going to choose some papers. I think I'll go for these 3. And I'm just going to draw around my cookie cutter. You can draw around the outside, the inside, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to draw around it because it's just easier.
Louise says, be careful, this is a PG program.
Are you sure? I don't do it as kids on there, on
Brian
YouTube.
says, I'll get you with your 3D printer.
Ah.
Zzz.
Okay, so I'm just going to draw around them like that. And I want 6 of them. I think I want 6 of them. Yes, I do.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Now, I did promise you an extra class this week. Things have run away from me rather, as usual.
No.
Because of a secret project, which I will be telling you about really, really, really soon. And I'm so excited. I wonder. Okay, you ready? That's all you're getting. So, secret project. You'll find out more in due course. But I was going to show you how to make signatures for travellers' notebooks. So I'm thinking maybe Friday morning. Does anybody fancy that?
I'm working.
Yeah, I know you're working. Oh no, sorry, I say I don't need you. That's not true. Do you want to do it Friday afternoon? We do it Friday afternoon. Yeah, we'll do Friday afternoon. And I'll show you quickly how to make signatures for your travellers' notebooks. I'm not going to write a tutorial for it because it's so simple it would be embarrassing. But I will show you how you can put some together really, really easily. Okay, right, so I've drawn around my cookie cutter. And now what I have to do is cut that shape out.
Tracy says, can you flash again?
Nope, no more flashing. That's all you're getting.
She's so flash.
But it's going to be good and you're going to like it.
Not enough.
Well, no, you will like it a lot. Right, okay, so, oh, and it's not going to cost you a penny, which is even better, really. Cutting these out.
Free is good.
These are a bit fiddly and you will get gluey, which is why I don't make them very often because I just hate being gluey, as you know.
And that's what's a signature for
A signature, it's a book. It's just literally, it's the name of a... It's the name of the book that goes inside your traveller's notebook. So with a traveller's notebook, one of the joys of maybe scrapbooking with a traveller's notebook is that you can carry around 2 or 3 notebooks within your traveller's notebook. And the notebooks that you carry in your traveller's notebooks are called signatures. I don't know why. They just are. And I'm going to show you how to make those. And I'm going to show you how you can make them with sewing. I'm going to show you how you can make them and staple them. Not glue them, because you don't want to be gluing them. But they're ever so easy to do. And all you're going to need is some papers to go inside, so plain papers. You can use pattern papers. I've put pattern papers in my signatures before. Paper for the covers. I've done a traveller's notebook class where we actually made the traveller's notebook outside. It's not very difficult, but we just used like that faux leather stuff, which I know I haven't got any more of anymore because I got rid of it. But what I will do is I'm going to find on the internet a guide for sizes that I will link to in the group, because traveller's notebooks come in 101 different sizes. There are some amazing groups out on Facebook for traveller's notebooks, for junk journals, neither of which I'm going to pretend to know much about. I love them. It's not my personal thing. I don't know a great deal. I know how to make a signature because I've done that several times, because I do like a bit of traveller's notebook scrapbooking. But if you want to learn all the terminology, all the, you know, how to make them properly, then, you know, go and join one of these groups, because you will learn the most amazing things. You really will. When lockdown's over, I don't know if people were with me when we did our first traveller's notebook kit, probably about a year ago now, and I did mean to do another one, and I kind of have. It's ready to go, more or less. I might just add a couple of things to it, but when we come out of lockdown, actually I've got loads of things that we've been able to sort out. So there's traveller's notebook number 2 kit coming out. There's a kit for a wedding planner, thanks to Kerry, who's made the perpetual organiser into a wedding planner, and the photos from that are just amazing. That's coming out. There are all sorts of kits and great stuff coming up. The book after we do the 12 by 12 book, I've got all the papers for that. I've had those for a while, so that's all sorted. Lots of things coming up. So stick with me, guys, because we've got some really exciting things to make. Okay. Nearly there. Right, the next step is optional. I find it easy to work by doing the next step, even though I'm often off by a mile. But I just think it kind of helps. And what we need to do is just make a little dot, roughly where we think the centre of our flower might be, roughly. It's only a guide. That was nowhere near. Let's go for there. It's because I'm not looking down at it straight. Let's have a look. So there. Yeah. Okay. Right. When we've done that on each flower, you can see that this bit here is a petal. So that is 1 petal. That is 2 petals. That is 3 petals. Think of this now like a pizza or a pie or something like that. And what we're going to do is we are going to cut slices out of these flowers, out of these, but 1 per petal. So I'm going to take my scissors I'm going to look at where the petals join there, where there is the little sort of dip, and I'm going to cut from that dip to that dot, which is nowhere like in the middle, but never mind. Okay, so I've made one slit. Okay, and I'm going to do the same in a second flower. Okay, so I've got 2 flowers that have just got a slit in them. 1, 2. Okay, I am now going to do the same with my next flower. So I'm going to cut up to that dot. I'm going to move round to that petal there where that dip is, and I'm going to cut down to the dot again, cutting myself out a slice of pie, which is a petal. So there's my flower, and I've cut out a petal. Okay, and I'm going to do that twice. Do not throw anything away. You need all of these bits. So I'm going to cut down to my circle, and I'm going to cut out that piece of pie, which is 1 petal. Okay? For the final 2, I don't even know where I think the middle of that one is. Nowhere near either of the dots that I've drawn. I'm going to cut down to that dot, and I'm going to cut out 2 petals. So there's my cut. There's 1 petal, there's 2 petals, and I'm going to cut down to that there. So that is 2 petals, okay? And I'm going to do exactly the same on this final flower. So I'm going to cut up to the dot, and I'm going to cut out 2 petals, okay? Right, now I think I'm going to ink the edge of my flower because it looks nice. So let me just get my I'm just going to ink the edge of my flower. Okay, there is the split. Oh, are you off, Carol? Thank you very much for popping by, and thank you so much for being my crafter of the week. Very, very much appreciated. I'll see you soon. So there we go, we've got the split. I'm now going to put some glue onto one of my petals, just a little bit of glue. We don't need loads. She says putting loads on. Oh, God. Okay. And now I'm going to fold that round so that that petal fits on top of that petal. Okay. Making a bit of a bowl shape flower. All right. Okay, so now I've got like a cone, a bowl shape there. And I've now got a flower with 4 petals. And I'm going to do exactly the same on my other one. So I've got the split. On one side of the split, I'm going to put a little bit of glue. I'm then going to fold that over the top so that the petal lines up. And I'm just going to hold that now until that adheres. Okay, are we all right? Karen, I've used walnut stain, but I like the twiggy one as well. Okay, so now I've got 2 like that. Oh, cat has arrived. Chaos will ensue. Right. Oh, and it's Tim Holtz Distress Ink, by the way, Karen. I apologise, I should have said that a bit sooner. Right, so just gonna distress those edges. I think I probably need some more ink in these. I think these are as old as me. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is exactly the same thing. I'm going to pop a little bit of glue onto that petal there by where I've cut my edge off, and I'm going to fold that round. This is where you see I haven't quite got the middle, doesn't matter at all, and I'm going to bring that so that I've got another cone shape. Okay, and it's tighter than that cone. Yep. And I'm going to do exactly the same on this one as well. So a little bit of glue, and I'm going to fold that round and just attach that there. Okay. Right. So now I've got two of my wider ones and two of the slightly thinner ones. These one petal ones that I've got left over, I'm going to leave those till last because they are the bane of my life. They were not designed for people who don't like glue on their fingers. Right, so this is the next biggest one, which has got 3 petals on it. So once again, here I go. I'm just going to ink my edges. And of course, obviously, the nice thing about making your own flowers is that if you're going to put them on a mini book or a scrapbook layout, you can use your existing papers, which will save you some money. So you can make sure that everything fits in really nicely. I'm full of good tips like that. So here's the 3. I'm going to pop a little bit of glue there, and I am going to fold that round. So I have got a super tight cone. Oh, night night Axel, sleep tight.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
You've been asleep since I started.
I've been typing and commenting.
Oh, okay. So I've got that little cone there.
Just don't read all of it.
I will read what you've written later. And I'm going to do the same again with that one. I'm going to roll that round. So that I've now got a 2-petal cone. Okay. Right. Now we've got the one left over with 2 petals. So this is where it starts getting interesting. This isn't going to make a cone in the same way. Oh, Beth, what's he ordered you? He's a keeper, that one. What are you having? Do you know? Right, so there's a 2-petal. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on there. And I'm going to roll this round, okay? So that I get quite a tight cone. Okay. If you have bits that won't stick, I often keep some paper clips nearby. And I'm just going to attach that paper clip while that dries. I find that really helpful when I'm making these flowers. So a little bit of glue on the edge. Oops. And now I'm just going to roll this round. Okay. I'll put my paper clip on while that dries. And now we're down to the worst one of all for sticky fingers. Hi, Gwen. Do you know, on the subject of gifts, I've got to tell you this. Whilst we've been in lockdown, Mark's decided to grow a beard. And he's done very well. It's quite white and beard-like and bushy. And because he hasn't had a beard before, it's a little bit unruly. Would that be fair to say?
It is.
So I thought, oh, my poor baby, I'm going to buy him a present. So I I ordered him a beard care kit, and it got everything in it, you know, like info on how to look after your beard. It got beard scissors, it got
all kinds
beard
of
oil.
lotions.
You what?
All kinds of lotions.
All kinds of lotions and potions for you. But you want to see the beard? I'll take a photo for you, Gwen. Anyway, we had to deliver my dad's shopping. So we're in the car going to my dad. And Mark announces that he's shaving his beard off. Now, he doesn't know at this point that I've brought in this present because it hadn't arrived. So I had to tell him. And then he says, well, that's lucky because I was going to cut it off this morning.
I was.
Anyway, this morning he has used all his lotions and potions and he has a very nice looking beard, I have to say. So, sorry, Beth, you were saying, touch of romance. Oh, summer in Provence. I bet you, is it purpley? Well, that sounds all very nice and romantic. Have you chosen them or is he? Right, train the paper. As long as he's not going for the Henry VIII wives, Larissa. Yes, it's all very tidy now. Is he Beardy MacBeard? Yeah, something like that. He's a lot better now. Now the beard's been trimmed. It looks very smart.
Yes, you got to trim your beard.
You do have to trim your beard. But it was a little bit unruly. But I love it because obviously Mark's got long white hair and a white beard. You might have chosen them. Good girl, Beth. Well, listen, when you get them, we want to see them, okay? I tell people that I'm married to Santa Claus' son and that one day I'm going to be Mrs. Claus. How cool is that? Anyway. Yes, Beth, congratulations, and we want to see. Oh, Sue, you can't say that. Poor Bri. Oh, come on. Ladies, behave. No, don't. I'm not even going to repeat that out loud. Right, okay. There we go. So now we've got all of our bits of flowers, and now what we've got to do is put them together. Now this is the fun bit. Now I have left my glue gun on, which is a good job because for the purposes of this experiment it's useful to have a glue gun. So this is my biggest flower, but I want to make a hole in the bottom of each of them. So I'm just going to nip off, can you see, nip off that there so that I've got a hole in the bottom. Okay. A gaming bean bag. Does it have speakers in it? Okay, so I'm just nipping off the edges, the middle of these flowers, and I'm going to do that on all of them. I just need to have a hole in this. Bits of paper flying everywhere here. Oh dear. Yeah, just be careful because, you know, health and safety. So just going to nip off the end, but not of the smallest one of all. We do not want to nip off the end of that one. We need to leave it as long as possible. Okay, right. So this is my smallest piece. This is the, yes, you need them to be comfortable, Beth, so that they just keep out of your way so you can craft. So here is the smallest bit of my flower, which doesn't have a hole in the bottom, but the others all do. And I'm going to take my next smallest bit and I'm going to stick that inside so that the end pokes out. Okay, so there's my, there's the hole and there's the end poking out. I don't know where the cats are, Larissa. They were here and they've gone. So now I'm going to take the next biggest one and I'm going to stick that in there. Okay. You can see how this is coming together now. And I'm going to take the next biggest one and I'm going to put that through there. You might have to make the hole a little bit bigger because you want to be able to fit everything in. And now I'm going to take the final one and I'm going to just pop that there. And I'm just going to take my hot glue gun, which is very hot now. I'm just going to seal that like that, and so I don't burn my fingers. I'm just going to show you. Ow, too late. Of course I'm going to burn my fingers. There. Okay. So that's the flower. Now, oh no, I've glued my tweezers to it. Right, the next one. Oh, ow, burnt myself. You can make exactly the same, or you can make it smaller so that you don't add quite so many bits to it. So it's more like a bud. But basically we're just lining them up, one on top of the other. To make our flower. And once again, I'm going to put some hot glue on there very badly, just to keep it all together whilst it sets. Ow! Luckily you don't get to see the back of these much, so you know, the fact that it's a complete mess doesn't matter. Jill, I know. I had some. I don't understand them. They confuse me. I can't use them. I was like that for years and years and years with trimmers. So I'm hoping that one day it will click, but I just don't get it. Louise, I have no idea what you're talking about. I know you're talking to Karen, but I've just come in halfway through that conversation. It's positively hilarious. Right, so there we go. So there are our cookie cutter roses. How cute are they? Do you like those? I like those. I think they're really cute.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Okay, so there we go. Very, very easy to make. Oh, well done, Sandra. I want to see pictures of all of these in the group when we're done. Right, so there we go. Now, last of all, this one's messy.
Oh.
So I'm going to unplug my hot glue gun. Excuse me, leaning over. And I'm going to plug in my heat gun. Not necessary. You can do it without. But for speed, I'm going to use mine tonight. Okay. And I'm going to get a thingy board. And I'm going to get a wipe. Just an ordinary baby wipe. If you do mixed media, yes, Beth, absolutely. Just be careful because sometimes your paper will rip, but then it's just called distressed if that happens. So you need to get some a wipe, and if you've done like mixed media and you've cleaned your mat and you've picked up all of the spray inks, then that's really cool. And I did have some cheesecloth here, because that's kind of cool to use in these as well. So I've got to try and remember how to do this, because I know there's a special way of folding it and I can't quite remember how to do it. So first of all, we are going to fold our baby wipes. We want roughly for it to be a square, roughly. This isn't in shot, is it? Okay. Then we need to take the top left corner and fold it down to the bottom edge, like that. Okay? Don't worry about these bits, it'll all become clear. Okay? I've completely forgotten what you do next. So,
little bears on them.
just going to trim that down so that I've got a proper square. And then I'm going to fold that up there like that, so that I've got a triangle. And I'm going to fold it over again to make another triangle. Okay? And then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut this. This is when I find out it all goes wrong, into a petal shape. Now I'm hoping that when I unravel this, it's not all going to fall to pieces, because that could happen. Oh no, look, it's a flower shape. Well, that's a minor miracle. Okay, so I've got my flower shape and I'm just going to cut a little piece of this cheesecloth. Now, I did grab some inks, some spray inks. I have no idea what colour I've got here because I just grabbed them. So I'm just going to spray some colour. I'm going to want that piece green, so I'll just spray that green. Oh, she says. I haven't used these for a bit. I haven't done any mixed media for ages. I do miss it. Let's try another green as well. Ooh, that's nice and bright. Let's go for that one. A bit of a mix. Mix it real good. What other colour have we got here? I don't think we want black. Ooh, pink. Bright pink. Let's go for the fluorescent pink. Oh my god. That's neon. What else have I got? Oh, Lindy's, my favourite. Right, let's have a bit of that. That's interesting enough. What else can I mix in there? I don't know what colour this is. We'll soon find out. It's not. Let's have a bit of blue. Okay, right. Now what I need to do is dry it. So you're going to have to excuse the noise a minute. But this will be noisy while I just dry these off. Now I will say that as you dry this, it is likely to shrink. That is absolutely fine. You what, sorry?
Try to see if she doesn't have sprayings. What could she use?
Paint. You can make white flowers. Just don't use any colour at all. You could look around the house. I'm just trying to think what you could use. Hair dye. You see, where I'm cleaning now, I know, looking, you know, sort of like from an eco point of view, I would keep, well, I have done in the past, I've kept these, and this is what I've made my flowers out of, these wipes, so that they're not, yeah, Wendy, it's an old mat. This one is the one that I use for absolute rubbish, so don't worry. Right, now as this dries, we need, oh yeah, food colouring. Great idea, Ellie. Although I don't know what that's like if you heat it. I don't know whether, I would suggest that if you're going to heat up these colours and stuff, you need to do it in a very, very, very well ventilated room, obviously, because there's going to be some sort of chemical that comes off them. But as we heat these are going to crinkle up a little bit, but we kind of want that. Was it what, sorry?
Was it wet when you started?
Yes, it was. You don't have, I mean, it doesn't have to be wet. It was just that was all I had to hand. So now it's drying off, and what we want it to do is crinkle up. Which is basically making it burn a bit, I suppose. So, okay, this is probably a bit bigger than I wanted, to be honest with you, but it's okay. You might want to do yours a bit smaller. In fact, I might actually just cut it down a bit because it is a bit bigger than I wanted. I'm just going to fold that up again. Just cut it round my petal shape there. Okay. Right. So I've got this bit that I made earlier. It's still wet. Right, now for the middle of my flower, I'm going to want some of those stamens that we can use for, you've seen these before, I think, these stamens that you get for flower making. And I'm just going to grab a handful. I'm just going to put them together. Got a few green ones in there as well. Right, my tweezers, where did I put them? I'm just going to put my tweezers through the middle of the flower and then through the middle of the I forgot what it's called, cheesecloth, and I'm going to grab all of my stamens down the middle there, and this is where it all goes horribly wrong, and I'm going to try and pull those stamens through into the back of the flower. And just work that through until I can pull back like that. This flower's still a bit big, but you'll get the gist of it. Okay. There we go. Still a bit big. You get the idea. If you're making some sort of fantasy type book, that might be just the flower you need. Okay, there you go. Very simple to do. Made a bit of a mess of that one, but you get the idea. So there you go. There are some very simple flowers that you can make for your books and for your layouts. I don't think I've forgotten any. I think that was it. Let me just check. I think that's it. How many have we made? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, there we go. So there's our baby white flower. There's our cookie cutter roses. There's our doodle flower, our rolled rose, and our gerbera. And don't forget how easy it is to make some shaped, some shaped leaves. There you go. So I will see you guys on Friday. I'll put a time in the group and I'll show you how to make some really super easy signatures for your travellers notebooks. No, Tracy, I haven't got any in the shop. Trying to think where you can get them from. I've had them for so long. I don't even, do you know what, I hate to say it, but somewhere like Amazon. How do I stick down the gerbera? Glue, hot glue. You might, because it's got quite a lot of dip there, Beth. You might like to think about, you know, what you're sticking it on. If that's going to be too tall, then simply cut down further. Leave a smaller space there. Does that make sense? And then you can just use some hot glue to stick that down. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Peonies, just quickly, I'll just say, you make the centre in exactly the same way as we did with the other flowers. Then you get a circle punch, cut out some circles, and then you literally just shape them in a similar way to how we made these, and then just stick them around the outside. And I found that completely by accident, but they did look like peonies. So other than that, I think that's probably where we're going to leave it tonight. I will see you on Friday. I will probably have some news for you on Friday, with a bit more of a look at the that secret project. I don't know what time yet, Karen. I reckon 2, 3ish UK time in the afternoon, maybe. Or we can do it on Friday evening. I don't mind, actually. We'll do it on Friday sometime, but I'll let you know. And next week we are going to look at making up layered embellishments for our scrapbooks and for our scrapbook pages and for our mini books. And the week after that, I had a brainwave of what the week after that, we're going to use greetings cards, notelets, something along that line, to make a mini book. So if you've got like loads and loads of birthday cards that you're not quite sure what to do with, we're going to make them into a book, and I'll show you how to do that. So that's what we'll do the week after. All right then, guys, thank you ever so much for joining me this evening, and I will see you really, really soon. Bye.